Hello everyone. So today in this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you about how to use shaders to make a realistic water texture. So I've just created a basic plane here, and I made a material out of just a static image of a water texture, so you can see what we're trying to do. So this ripple pattern here is what we're going for, but with a static image, it doesn't move and doesn't look very realistic. So by using actual shaders, we'll be able to have water that looks like this, but actively moves as the player plays the level. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go up into the package manager. And now I've installed this already for the sake of time, but you're going to want to get this high definition RP that gives access to all of the shaders that you'll need for this tutorial. So when you have that, you're able to just create a new shader graph here with this HDRP that we installed, and the type that we're going to use today is called a lit shader graph. The lit shader graph will appear here. I just named mine water. Feel free to name yours whatever you want, but what we're going to do now is create a material from this, and I will just call it water material, and then double click on the graph to open up this page here where we can now affect that actual texture. So we're gonna definitely want to increase the window size because there's kind of a lot going on, but essentially this is our main vertex, and this controls down here, if you see, the main texture that we're going to be applying to the shader. So if I went into base color here and changed to blue, you can see we have a blue. So now we just need to make that actually move. So what we'll have to create first is some sort of pattern. And luckily, this shader package has built-in patterns. So the one that we're going to use today, if you type in VO, you can see this Voronoi. I think that this is the one that probably looks most like ripples. And what we're going to do is go through and change a few things so that that's true. Now, you'll see right now, though, that it's just static and not moving. So there's a few more components that we're going to want to add here. One that's based on time, and that's going to actually make the pattern move based on the time that we have, and then just a multiplier to connect the two of them. So the way that this shader screen works is everything has these nodes here, and so you can connect them like so, just by dragging and dropping. So what I'm going to do is take in the time and multiply this. I guess we'll go 2 for now and see how that works. And then we're going to drag this into the angle offset right here. And so now you can see we're actually getting this pattern to move around. So you can mess with the speed all you want. I think probably 1 is good for me because usually water doesn't move that much, but that'll give us our intended effect. So there's a few other things that we want to change here. Maybe, for instance, the cell density. You can mess with all of this to your own liking, but what I'm going to change is you can see the pattern's still a little off. It looks almost more cellular than it does specific to an actual ripple. So the next vertex that we're going to add in here is called a power vertex. If I add that and drag that out here, you can see it already has a much different effect by making them larger. And so we can increase it even more, right, to whatever you feel is most like the water you want to create. But I think I'm going to go with 4 for now because that looks pretty good to me. Now we're going to want to add some color to this pattern and then eventually add it into our main shader texture right here. So first, I'll just create 2 parameters here on the side. You click the plus mark and then go down to color. I'm just going to call this one base, and then I'll create another one and call that one highlight, just so I know which is which. So if we click on the base, we can see over here, we're able to select the actual color. So for the base, I think we'll go for a little bit darker. I mean, it's still not a dark blue, but I think that'll be good enough for sort of a tropical water look. And then our highlight, we're going to want to make lighter because it's going to fill in those ripples. So we'll go almost greenish blue here, nice and light. And I think that looks perfect. So now we'll just have to add it to this power. And we can do that by using another multiply, which aren't used just for numbers, actually. You're able to use it to connect anything in here. So I'll take the highlight color that we have, and you can see when you drag and drop the highlight, it has a node as well that we can then drag into here. And now you can see that the cracks in between are being filled in with this light blue color. And so those are the ripples that are going to spread out across our base color. And to do that, the final part is we're going to use an add node here, just a basic one, to combine the two together. We will take our base color, drag it in, connect the nodes like so, take our output from this whole texture that we've created, drag it in, and look at that. We have a full water texture that's animated and looks realistic. So now we just take the output, drag it into the base color, and you can see it's just taking a second to compile, but it'll show up here, and in our final design, we will get this nice looking water animation. So the only other thing I think I'll want to change here is to just go into alpha, which is the opacity, and maybe put it at something like 0.7. So that way, if we wanted to put an object below the water, we'd be able to see through it and see that there was something in there. Again, that's optional depending on the water that you want to create, but for me, I'm going to change the alpha of that specific texture. So now you're going to want to save the asset. Make sure you do that, that's very important. And then we now have our new material here. Let's resize our windows a bit so we can see this work. So now we have our water material. I'll just drag and drop it onto the plane, and you can see initially it starts out with this pattern because we had here this time interval. Well, if the game's not running, we don't have a time to pull from. So when we actually run the game, and if you look down here, you'll be able to see it functioning fully how we wanted it. So there we go. That is a full animated water with shaders in Unity. It's super easy. You just have to know a few of those vertex and nodes, things like that, but there's tons of room to change it up, make it however you like, and I think it looks fantastic. So I hope this helped, and thanks for watching.